said no sound?
Oh, no sound. Oh no.
No sound.
Should be good now.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Technical difficulties, sorry. So I'll just continue talking and then we'll see if you can still hear me. As we're walking, we can think about, I'd like you to comment down below, one, whether you can hear me, and two, if you've been to this park before. It really is kind of a hidden gem in our South Buffalo community, and a lot of people might not have discovered it yet, which is one of the reasons we're so excited to be here for the BlueView and to be kind of introducing hopefully some new people to this park as a great place to come and visit and explore on your own. We get up in this area, right along this edge is part of where the location for some future improvements is going to be as part of our Buffalo Blueway project. So this is an Erie County park, and we're working closely with the staff at Erie County Parks to make some improvements to this park, public access improvements, and to also make it just a more enjoyable and accessible place for people to visit. One of the things that we're hoping to do in the near future is to install some more benches right along this path that we're walking on right now. Also to make improvements to the Kayak Launch, which we're actually walking up towards right now. So you can get an idea.
Could you tell us, just gesture to the picture and what's there?
Yeah, sure. So here's that stepped design that I mentioned before. Right now you'll notice there are a lot of woody debris on the kayak launch itself, so it can be a little unstable of a surface. So this is hopefully going to make it a little bit more accessible, a little bit easier to walk down and actually get to the water. Other improvements that we're going to make is you'll notice this railing right over here is not in the best shape, so that's also in the works to hopefully get this improved a little bit, fixed up, and put in some new benches as well. The Buffalo Blueway, we talk a lot about kayaking and paddling and actually getting out on the water, which is a great way to experience the waterway, the Buffalo River. But there's also people that just want to take a seat, and enjoy the water, watch it from a nice bench. So that's also really a part of the Buffalo Blueway. For a little context, if you've never been to this park before, we are really at a nice location, kind of in between more of our industrial history on the Buffalo River and some more natural areas. So if you are, for example, a paddler, you want to go out on your kayak and you're looking for a place to go, If you go left from Red Jacket Riverfront Park, you're heading towards Seneca Bluffs and Thomas Higgins Parks, if you know where those parks are. So more of a natural paddle and that kind of site in that direction. If you want to take more of a history tour of some of Buffalo's really interesting industrial history, you could head right, and you would be heading towards Riverworks and Canal Side if you were to head right. And you could take a look at some of our really interesting relics of the past and present by taking a look at the old grain silos. So that is also some context of where we are here at Red Jacket Riverfront Park. I also want to mention, so one of the reasons we wanted to come out here today, and one of the reasons why I was asked to do this, is because I'm a big fan of birds, and Red Jacket is really a great place to take a look at birds. So like I said, Buffalo Blueway, it isn't just about paddling, there's also some other great activities you can do along the Buffalo Blueway. So if you are a birder, or maybe you want to be a birder, you could grab your pair of binoculars or really just your own eyeballs and head to Red Jacket Riverfront Park, and there really is a lot of great wildlife to see here. So one of the things we're going to do today is we're going to take a little walk up into this site. There are some really pretty trails here, and I think we have a beautiful day here in this weather to go and explore it a little bit. So if you want to come along with me, we can take a look and see what birds and other wildlife you might find. Trail starts, and this pole is here just so cars don't go up this way, but this is a walking trail, so if you are interested in taking a nice walk, this is a great place to do it. It's really a beautiful sight in the sun, as you can see.
Claudia, we have our first question from the audience.
Great.
Someone is curious about how much does the water level of the river fluctuate?
That's a great question. The water level does fluctuate a lot. One of the things we always talk about is how the river can flow in both directions. The Buffalo River has some really interesting seiche activity that can happen, and that makes for a really dynamic system. So when we're thinking about shoreline restoration and how to make really strong habitat along the river, we have to think about how the water levels can fluctuate. And we also have to think about it when we're working on our improvement projects for public access, right? So that's a great question. Yeah. One thing we also get a lot on the Buffalo River is ice activity. So that's another thing that we need to think about when we're designing projects like this one at Red Jacket Riverfront Park, is what the ice might do and how we can best protect the shoreline from things like ice scour. As we're walking, you might hear some birds singing, and today we're kind of in the middle of May. We are at a fantastic time to look at birds because we are in the middle of spring migration. And this is arguably the best, most exciting time to look at birds here in Western New York, because we are on a pathway for a lot of different species as they're coming up from their southern habitat where they've spent the winter, and they're moving northwards into their breeding habitat. So there's lots of different species. You might see some unique things, some different birds like warblers that you wouldn't see other times of the year. And migration is just really cool. It's amazing to think about how birds can do it, right? There used to be an old wives' tale that hummingbirds were so small that there was no way they could migrate. So the story that we used to tell ourselves was that hummingbirds would ride on the backs of geese in order to make it on that long journey. But now we know, because of science, that that's not the case, and those tiny little birds make the journey all on their own, all the way from South America up towards us in Western New York. So it's really cool to be here and to be experiencing spring migration. As a part of some of the habitat restoration work here at Red Jacket Park, led by the wonderful staff at Erie County. And this little pond, although it's small, it provides really great habitat for wildlife. Something that they did as a part of this project is they put in some woody debris, so like trees and sticks and logs. And although you might not think that's good for habitat, if you are a turtle, you would love that. Turtles and other amphibians and reptiles need that area in order to bask in the sunlight. So often if you're walking either up here along this pathway or down on the lower pathway, if you're very quiet, you might not startle the turtles and you'll be able to catch a glimpse. We get some cool species like painted turtles that have some really bright colors on their skin and on their shell. So those are always fun to see here at Red Jacket. I should mention too, I love birds, I also love dragonflies. And this place is a great place to see dragonflies, especially down near the water. Dragonflies are like the birds, but they're insects. They're really fun to watch. They're really great hunters, so they'll be moving around really quick. Sometimes they're super colorful. So again, another fun wildlife sighting that you can have here at Red Jacket. And that area is great for them.
What do dragonflies hunt?
Good question. They hunt other smaller insects. So they are really well adapted to live as dragonflies and to hunt while in flight. So they can actually eat while they're flying. And I always liken to it, if you can imagine running full speed while eating a cheeseburger, that's what dragonflies do. But they're able to catch their prey and eat it really quick. They're also really territorial, so they'll get in battles, and you'll get to watch them battle each other over some territory, all in this little micro habitat of maybe a pond or a wetland area. Another great thing about dragonflies is that they are indicators for our water quality and our water health. They don't look like dragonflies their whole life. They start off actually living in the water. A lot like a butterfly, they go through metamorphosis, so they look completely different when they get older and go through that life cycle. We've got some geese flying overhead. That's a good sight. But yeah, dragonflies, so because they start in the water, they don't live really in polluted water. They're what we call a bioindicator. So if we've got dragonflies, it can be an indicator of good water quality. So another reason why it's important to protect our water and to keep it clean, to have wildlife like dragonflies. bright red spot on its wing. He's also making a call that sounds like he's saying conqueree, and that gives this bird away as a red-winged blackbird. I love red-winged blackbirds. They are one of the first birds to come back in the spring. So whenever I hear that call he's making right now, or the song that they say, conqueree, it reminds me that it's soon to be spring, and it makes me so happy. So it's great to see them. Because they're dangerous trees. It's because we want to protect the trees. Other animals, wildlife, might unfortunately use the trees for what they're naturally using it for, but we want to avoid that for these trees as a part of the planting. So things like deer or beaver can cause harm to the tree and to the bark. So we protect it. There's one here that you can really see is doing well with these tree cages and these tree tubes. We've passed by a couple willows. There's also some oaks and some maple trees. There were several different species planted as well. And one of the great things about Red Jacket Park is there is a diversity of trees. And that's really important for wildlife and for birds.
There's the yellow warblers.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're going to be able to see them on the camera.
Oh, good. Oh, that's such a good sighting. So, if you guys, I really hope if you're watching us on Facebook Live, you might see a small yellow bird moving around in this tree right in front of us here. He's kind of moving quickly from, oh,
There he goes.
That's an amazing sighting to see. So the yellow warbler, one of those birds that is coming back on its long journey through spring migration, and I can show you, I do have a picture of him here if it shows up on Facebook and on Instagram Live. This is the bird that we just saw move from that tree over to that shrub, a yellow warbler. So these guys have just gotten back from quite a long journey from South America, South and Central America, and now they're here in Western New York, and they do actually breed here in Western New York, so that's pretty cool. They make a call, and oftentimes people put words to the sounds that they're hearing from birds because it helps them to remember. So for me, I always think like this bird sounds like it's saying, sweet, sweet, I'm so sweet. So if you hear that, sweet, sweet, I'm so sweet, you might be hearing a yellow warbler. And they're quite common here at Red Jacket. We've seen probably 5 or 6 today as we were walking around before our live stream. And it is so cool that here at this park you get a little bit of both. You get to see some of the wildlife and also some really cool evidence alive and bustling with this train coming by here. Oh, there's a yellow warbler calling. That's really cool.
Hey Claudia, how old are the birds that migrate through?
Oh, that's a great question. So it depends. Depending on the bird that you're talking about, they have kind of a variety of lifespans. Probably a few years for the warblers, but as you get bigger birds, right, like raptors, eagles, they can live for much longer. We do see birds like eagles here at Red Jacket Park. It's actually been great. I personally have been noticing eagles much more often along the Buffalo River, which is really cool. But yeah, it depends. They will migrate after their first year. They migrate because they don't have food here in the winter. They can't survive our cold Western New York winters, unfortunately. The bird we're listening to, our yellow warbler, eats insects, right? And you don't see many insects in the winter, so they need to migrate in order to find their food in the southern United States and South America. Kind of a nice view to see other folks out fishing, and it really is a great park to explore and to come and just have fun along the Buffalo Blueway. Take a look out along the water here. Earlier today, and fingers crossed he's still there, we were noticing a common tern, which is a water bird, and often you can see them flying in the air and then diving down into the water to grab a fish. So if we peek out into the water, maybe we'll get to see something similar. Oh. Oh my goodness, I didn't speak too soon. We can see the common tern out there. I'm not sure if it's quite too visible from the Facebook and Instagram live stream, but he's flying towards us, this white bird with the black cap on its head. And these guys eat fish, and they're excellent fishermen, hunters, and they're able to dive into the water and grab their fish. Oop, there he goes. Oh. You might also notice they've got quite the bright orange beak. So thank you so much for joining us here along our BlueView Instagram and Facebook Live BlueView tours. It was really great to get to explore with everyone here today. One thing I wanted to mention, if you'd like to please join in on our Buffalo Waterkeeper weekend. So you can check that out with more information at bnwaterkeeper.org/waterkeeper-weekend. We've got a lot of fun stuff going on coming up soon, so we'd love to have you join us for Waterkeeper Weekend. And please do come and check out some of our beautiful locations along the Buffalo Blueway, like this spot right here at Red Jacket Park. Thank you.